Hello, I'm Richard Vobes, the Bald Explorer, out on another walk. This time, we're in Avebury. Mark, we've made it.
We've made it to Avebury. Our long journey is here.
Absolutely. This is one of the series of videos that we've been making about the Avebury area, and we finally arrived, and we're actually by a stone. You can't see it, a great big stone above us. And we have one of your best mates.
Yes, Mr. Robert Martins.
Robert Martins. Nice to meet you, Robert.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for agreeing to be in the video.
Okay.
You have a bit of a history, knowledge, affinity with Avebury. You like the place as much as Mark does?
Absolutely. I came here for the first time in 1989, and as soon as I arrived I felt something really important here, and I think you did the same.
Yeah, the place just resonates with me for the same, pretty much the same reasons. I just felt a real draw, and I've been coming back here ever since. We pretty much with Rob most times actually, because you moved to the area as well, you know.
So we may get into the reasons for the draw and that aspect, but let's just describe what Avebury is to the layperson coming in for the very first time, for those that don't know. So it's a series of circles of stones. It's a village, and there's a ditch or and bank, isn't there?
That's right. Yeah. There's the bank is an important point, because now the bank is quite silted in about two-thirds of the way. And when it was originally built, they discovered through archaeology that the bank had sheer sides coming down and then a flat bottom.
Very deep.
And it was about 30 feet deep on average all the way around. So the point is that they don't know why the ditch is there, because Avebury was not built for defensive purposes. So it's a mystery as to why the ditch is there.
Yeah. And so that's our first circle, as it were.
That's right.
Because it goes all the way around.
We're currently standing by the stones going past us. Here is the outer circle, which is the main circle, which comprises of between 98 and 100 sarsen stones.
And these are particularly interesting sarsen stones because you were telling me before they had, is it quartz crystal?
They're loaded with quartz crystal, so there's particles of quartz crystal that is embedded in the sarsen stone. So obviously the question would be to speculate, did the neolists that built the site, did they specifically choose the sarsen because of the quartz content for their own purposes?
It's all locally sourced, isn't it? So
yeah. So where did they come from? Were they here, or did they bring them from?
There's still some scattered around Firefield Downs and around the area. You can still find sarsen stones on the ground.
But where do we think that these came from originally?
Archaeologists have speculated that they must have come from the Marlborough Downs, which is literally about 2 to 2.5 miles away from here.
Right.
And Firefield Down that Mark mentioned, there's a local source of sarsens that's still there actually, laying on the ground. So they probably would have picked from both locations.
And we're talking about a time before low loaders, cranes, and all of that, clearly. So I'm assuming there are theories, and they may only be theories, of how men would transport what must be several hundred tons of rock.
It's up to about 100 tons a piece, which is the two stones in the north circle. So up to about 100 tons or so.
Which is difficult to move even today. Modern equipment.
I mean, this is what makes it so fascinating. The other interesting aspect, I think, what people don't necessarily realise when they walk around, they're all standing upright. People have assumed that they've always been like this, but actually they toppled over. Is that right?
Well, a lot of them were destroyed back in the Middle Ages, especially with sort of Christianity taking over sort of how the country was going.
So they were destroyed because they were deemed not to be Christian?
Deemed pagan.
That's right. Yeah.
It took a while, but remember, Avebury back then was very isolated, so it was probably it's quite a long while before the people came here and started to toppling them over and getting rid of them. But that's why a lot of them were actually just buried on the floor.
But it was John Aubrey.
Yeah, John Aubrey was the first person to come here and actually document it, and brought Charles II here.
That's it.
To take him around and give him a tour of the village.
And Charles II had some influence to say, preserve this.
He founded these, the Royal Society.
The Royal Society. There you go. Brilliant. Well, these are rather magnificent stones that we've now just ensconced ourselves against here. Where are we?
We're at the entrance stones. This actually
between two gigantic sarsens is a main entrance into the complex that comes down from the West Kennet Avenue of stones, which goes a mile down to the sanctuary.
And that may have been where processions, ceremonies, or
ceremonial route
to enter in the main circle. And then within these circles, there are more circles.
Yeah, we've got to. I'll let Rob take over here.
Yeah, there's so within the main outer circle that we were looking at a little earlier, there are two smaller circles nearly in the centre, and they comprise of maybe 28 to 30 sarsen stones each. But we've kind of discovered through some dowsing, which is using dowsing rods, which people do quite a lot, that there's potentially a lot more stones within those two stone circles.
So there's many circles within circles. Do we know, have we any idea or speculation of what the circles signified?
That's a large question.
Yes. Large question. Maybe then.
I think there's multiple answers to that question.
Right. So basically, people can speculate and come up with lots of different
speculation to that.
Multiple speculations. So let's just go back to the draw, because why would you do this? Why would you construct something which clearly takes a hell of a lot of manpower?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I know from what you've said before, there are experiences. People come here; they have all sorts of weird experiences. What is it, perhaps maybe the best way of addressing this is, what is it for you guys that makes this so special?
That's really interesting. Yeah.
I mean, to me, when I first came here, this place just resonated with me. On what level?
It just
and like a real. I feel like a magnet.
Blackbirds coming flying over. So, but what So you say it resonates in what ways? Mystically,
the beauty of the landscape. It's like a magnet.
Like a magnet. Just drawn. And you, Rob?
It is hard to quantify. I was saying to the two guys earlier off camera that I came here in 1989 for the first time and felt really at home here, as if there was almost some power here that you can't quantify, you can't describe it. It's really difficult to describe, and it draws you to keep coming back. And I met quite a few other people that have felt the same as well. So even people that have driven through that I've been with have gone through in a car and said, "Whoa, there's something about this place," and it suddenly comes upon them.
So Rob brought me here in 1991.
That's right, in 1991.
So clearly, I mean, if you guys are feeling it, and plenty of others, hundreds, thousands of other people who come here and talk about it, and books have been written about it, and the theories and all the rest of it. Maybe. And again, this is sheer speculation on my part, but maybe, I mean, that must have some connection to why you would do this.
That is an interesting point. So, did the nihilists know that there was something here and mark it, and maybe amplified it with placing the stones here? So that's a good speculation.
Yeah. And just throw this out. It's just occurred to me. These are timeless pieces. And clearly, because they're still here, and we're talking, 6,500 years ago?
Yeah.
Around about?
Yeah.
I wonder if that level of being here, that everlasting thing, longer than buildings or anything else, because presumably back then they would have had only timber frame buildings.
That's right.
That they knew that this would be here for such a long time, possibly in their mind forever.
Or they at least intended it to be a mainstay for a long time.
Well, this is the Cove. Why is it called the Cove? Nobody knows.
I'm about to say most of the names in Avebury were named by William Stukeley in the 1700s.
Ah, right.
They're all named,
And I imagine because it looked a bit like a cove, because there was another stone, is that right?
Originally there was off camera here to this side was another stone, so there was basically three stones.
Three stones,
An interesting point about the stone here that I'm leaning against is this is pretty much the biggest in Britain apparently, and it weighs 100 tons, and it goes into the ground, it goes below ground as much as it comes above ground.
Wow.
So as we're standing here now, it's about 20 feet high above us, so the whole thing is roughly about 40 feet, 20 feet.
Staggering.
Yeah, absolutely.
Staggering.
100 tons. This one here.
Yeah. Do you think there's weird little houses all interdotted around between the stones up until the 1930s?
Yeah, so this
Keeler did clear
there was
a lot.
There was a village.
Much more.
There was more of the village around here, and there was farmhouses almost right up to these stones, so kind of masking the view of how this looks looking back on it.
So it's not always been this open.
No.
From the Middle Ages onwards, they
probably from the Middle Ages.
And then gradually, they had the whole area around Avebury was fenced off, so you had kind of cattle areas, so it was very segregated, so you couldn't get a sort of clean sight line across the whole site.
Because Avebury Truslow was built to sort of house a lot of people, which is like a housing estate, literally outside the village.
Or like a small village back further over.
But before that, a lot of the farming cottages and all that around it were demolished. So they were compensated by Keeler, but there was a lot of bad will towards him when he was here doing the archaeology.
Keeler was this archaeologist specialist.
And he had to buy out the people that owned the buildings that came right up to these monuments. And
such a commitment.
Absolutely, he was really committed, and obviously what he wanted was to clear the buildings away to try and restore a sense of space around here.
We're going to leave you, our little video, with one last interesting fact about the pub, because we're going to go there in a second. Tell us, Mark, the pub.
The pub, the Red Lion pub, which I've actually done a paranormal investigation at a few years back.
Paranormal investigation.
It's the only pub in the world that is within a stone circle prehistoric site.
A prehistoric stone circle.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Gosh.
Amazing fact.
And it'd be interesting to know if the pub came first or not. Join me again on another of the videos. Mark is going to do some more tomorrow when we're out filming. Thank you to Rob. It's been an absolute joy to have you on the show and bring us all your extra knowledge. But until the next time, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to leave a comment. If you've got comments about Avebury, it'd be fascinating to read those. Till the next time, goodbye.
Bye.